entrepreneurs and professionals here. Right now we have one of the first African-American Radio City Music Hall, Rockettes, and now director of the Miss Juneteenth Nevada Scholarship Program.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Anthony. And I'd like to say thank you all for being here this morning. Again, he said my name was Marquis, but I'm going to get started just a little bit differently. Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy Black History Month. Yes. Does anybody know what a rockette is? Okay, it's a little different. We're on the West Coast. In New York City, there's a building, it's called Radio City Music Hall. And there's an iconic group of precision dancers that have been there since 1932. In 1932, the line was 36 American women, no women of color, and the director for that group was Russell Markert. He was also the founder. His whole idea was to have a precision line of women that looked exactly alike. He called them his dancing daughters or his porcelain dolls. Now the interesting thing about that is time changes and we evolved. And so by 1982, 82, they finally started bringing in women of color. That was Asian or Hispanic, women of color. Finally, in 1988, they brought in their very first Black Rockette, and I followed in 1992 as the second African-American or recognized African-American Rockette. That's some 60 years after they came into Radio City Music Hall. So we can see how time evolves. And we want to keep that evolution going. So we've got some things to talk about today. Before I go any further, I'd like to get an agreement from you all. So we're going to be chatting here for a few minutes, but I'd like you to make a promise to engage with me, okay? Participate. Think, if you will. Just think with me. And maybe even dream. Can you make that deal with me? Yes? Yes, great. All right, so we're off to a wonderful start. I'm going to throw out a few names, and I'll ask you as well for just a few. There's a lot of you in the room. Is there a David in the room? Is there a David? Is there a Michael in the room? Okay. Those are pretty common names, but I know things have evolved. Sir, what is your name? Yes? John? John Martin. So we have a John Martin over here, okay? John Mark? John Mark. Two great names, okay? And in the middle here, there's a young lady, her hair is sitting, and you have fuzzy on your collar right here. Your name? Isabella. Isabella. And then over here I have someone in a red hoodie, looks like. Red hoodie? What's your name? Montavious. Montavious. Well, what I know about names is there's power in your name. Okay, so you gotta be proud of that. It's what identifies you, your legacy. Okay, it can also evolve into what family lineage you come from. So there's power in a name. It gives you legacy, and your names open up the doors of possibilities to you. So let's start with a question, okay? I happen to believe that possibilities start with what I allow myself to dream about. And I make the choice to be positive in my dreams, because then that gives me infinite possibilities. I'm limitless. You want to stay positive? And remember, you said you're going to think and dream with me for a moment. So here's our first part or moment of participation. Quietly ask yourself, what possibilities do I see for myself? And I want you to hold that thought. Because before we talk about your dreams, we need to talk about the dreams of those that came before you. Right? We're in Black History Month. And Black history is all about the dreamers in the world. It's about people who dare to believe in possibilities when there were few or none for them. And let's talk about those and what those dreams could have been. So let's go back to our ancestors, go back in history. What's one of the first things you think they dreamed about? Freedom, exactly. Freedom. Because they lived at a time when they were known as property. And property means you're the possession of someone else. So freedom was a big dream that they had. In 1863, Lincoln wrote something. Do we know what it is? Emancipation Proclamation. And that proclamation made a statement, but it didn't come into law until the 13th Amendment. And that law said that slavery was now going to be illegal. So we have the freedom and that first dream starting to come into fruition. Imagine dreaming of freedom when you were legally considered property. Might seem a little bit crazy because everybody around you knew where your class system and your structure was set. So to think outside of that possibility could often seem a little crazy, right? We know what we're supposed to be doing, we know where we are, we know how things are done, so we don't want to break the status quo, right? So we have the possibility of freedom and that dream. So this daily survival for them was just having the courage. And remember, with your dreams, nobody knows what they are except you. They don't know until you actually speak it out, right? So, what is something else that you think they dreamed about after they got freedom? Well, if you can do it, I can do it. What's that called? Equality, exactly, right? So now we got freedom, but that freedom didn't open all the doors. Now we'd like an opportunity to do some of the things that we dream about. And back then, we were talking about drinking fountains and diner luncheon tables, or sitting in the front of the bus, right? So we had the dream of equality. In 1954, the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus the Board of Education, saying that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional, bringing us back around to that wonderful 13th Amendment, right, to the Constitution. Young students like Ruby Bridges were walked into schools by marshals. These were federal marshals to change the outlook for your education. Then, of course, we know Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Well, he stood up on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and he declared what? What? This is one you can say really loud. I have a dream. There you go. That's right. I have a dream. And in that dream, fruition came true once again. So as we're walking through time, we can see how history is evolving. We have now equality once, and just possibly in someone's imagination, we're getting to see some things change. This is daily repetition, marching and organizing, studying and speaking, much like we're doing today. And these dreams turned into miracles. After we now have freedom, and we have equality, or the beginnings of equality, the next thing that we could possibly want to add into our lives and the possibilities of our lives, because at this point we're at 1954, we'd like to cast that ballot to do what? Vote. Now we have a voice, our own voice, because I don't necessarily want to do what you want to do. I have my own dreams, goals, and aspirations, right? I want you to have yours, but I also want to be able to have mine. And so as we're looking at our country here in America, we are built on that foundation. That's why everybody comes here, for the freedom to do and have and dream. So now we're voting. Now we know that people marched, and they marched with the consequence of being beaten and thrown in jail for their dream and their desire to vote. People like one of the first women to run for president, and she was a black woman. Do we know who she was? Say it loud. Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm was the first black woman to run for president, and one of her quotes were unbought, and unbossed, which means now that you have the ability to be your own boss, right? You can make your own path, your own way. The right to vote was once a dream. Now, it is your responsibility. We had to fight for that, our voice to be heard. Other great dreams are dreams of home ownership, dreams of owning your own business, and we can look at Tulsa. Do we know that story in Tulsa? Greenwood was called what? Black Wall Street. Now, there's a lot about Black Wall Street. They burnt it, they did all of these terrible things, but they did rebuild. They often don't tell that story. But Tulsa was rebuilt, and that was also in a dream. They had businesses, they owned land, so now we were moving into a place where from our freedom to equality, to having a voice, to now business ownership, home ownership, what we call entrepreneurialism. Okay, that's one of our buzzwords today. So for those who are interested in doing your own businesses, maybe you want to have a salon, a shop, or something like that, even working online, because we do that now too. So these were all dreams. We have our first African-American millionaire. She was a shop owner. She did hair. Do we know who she was? Madam C.J. Walker. That's right. She was one of the first African-American millionaires. So ownership was not just about money. It's about your agency and about saying what I'm going to decide for my future. And this is all coming back to that quiet thought that I asked you to have earlier. What are the possibilities that you see for yourself, right? Today we often think about our health. That's our mental health, our physical health, and our emotional health. Our ancestors, they simply were worried about surviving. So they didn't have the privilege to think about physical health or mental health, or even their emotional health, because again, they were property. So you didn't have feelings. And if you did, you didn't show them, because that could get you in a world of trouble. They then were dreaming of surviving. Today, we're at least looking at seeing the possibilities and dreaming about thriving in this American country, right? So, oh, that's funny. So the music on the background there. So what does this have to do with you? Everything. This has everything to do with each and every one of you. Because dreams don't expire. They evolve and they turn into now, as I call it, a dream. I think of things in acronyms. And you can do this as well. I mean, a lot of times I'll hear somebody say something and I'll think about a song that it might go to. But if you take the word dream and you break it down into an acronym, daily, repetition, equals achieving miracles. That's your dream, or the dream that you can have for yourself, with instructions on how to get there. So every day, daily, through repetition. We have athletes in the room, dancers, athletes, engineers, scholars, of course. So you know it takes repetition. And what is repetition? Repetition is the mother of success. Because you repeat it. Repite, repite. That's what my dance teacher, French, would say. Repite, Marquis, repite. Oh. Okay, so every dancer knows that it all starts with a plie. And whether you're the first day in or the 30th year in, it starts with the plie. And that's just where it goes, right? Because that gives you the base and the foundation. So we have daily. Daily, not yearly, not weekly, but daily. Repetition, rehearsal, and practice. This equals, E, the equals, that's the equation. That's the actual skill for you to move into achieving, not wishing, not hoping, but achieving the miracle that you aspire for. The possibilities to become. The civil rights movement was a daily repetition. Freedom was a daily repetition. So we think about your schooling, where you are right now today. Your GPA reflects your daily repetition. Whether you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing in your classes, reading, setting, putting your assignments in, doing your homework, etc. Daily repetition. Athletes, if you're standing at the foul line and you can't make the basket, it's going to take some repetition so you can build that strength and endurance so you can get that ball over into the hoop. Football, same thing. Dancers, same thing. Engineers, scholars, whatever that thing is that you're desiring to do, it's repetition that's going to get you there. Which brings you to your next place. You're in high school right now. We have anybody looking to aspire to go on to college or university? Maybe you're going to go to trade school. Great, John Mark, that's fantastic, right? So it's going to take that daily repetition. So we talked about dreams, and because I'm big on acronyms, let's just throw it out there. D is what? Daily. Okay? R is what?
Repetition.
Repetition. E is what?
Equals.
The equation, the equal. A is what? Achieving, yes. And the M, of course, is your,
Miracle.
yes, the miracle of you achieving and attaining your dream, your goal. So now I want to talk about quickly what I said for myself when I had my dream. I kept it positive. When you make something positive, it's your decision to see it through. Are we going to have problems? Yes. Are there going to be challenges? Absolutely. Are we going to fall sometimes? Yes. But when we fall, we want to fall forward or fail forward, as we would say, so that we can get up and keep moving forward. So positive is a choice and a mindset. I like the acronym, so here we go with an acronym again. Passion over struggle is time invested very efficiently or very effectively or endlessly. Okay? We're going to stay positive so that we can and will reach the goal, the dream, the aspiration, the desire that we have. Do we still have that thought going in our mind, our possibilities?
Yes.
Thank you. Much appreciated over there. So we will have struggles, as I said. But when you decide to be positive, you're deciding to make your passion, and your passion then will multiply. In what you desire to do, that passion, usually we notice that time escapes us. We're doing the things that we like to do, and we look up and it's like, oh man, I gotta go. I gotta move on to the next thing. So it's not like work, that thing that you're doing and you're going, when is this going to be over? Like now. So we want to look at the things that we are passionate about, and we want to take the time to notice when we hit a struggle or a challenge. So let me ask you, what are you passionate about? Maybe it's music, sports, engineering, fashion, maybe gaming. We have any gamers in the house? Yeah? Great, okay. It's viable today. It wasn't when I was growing up, but it's viable today. We might have some people that are interested in art, leadership, science, you know. When your passion is present, struggle becomes training. Okay, when your passion is present, your failures become feedback. And when passion is present, your time is never wasted. So the power of staying positive does not mean pretending that there won't be struggles or challenges, or that those things don't exist, because they do. Positive means I will see the obstacle, but I will see and make the solution. So we're not going to have ourselves held back by obstacles and challenges, naysayers, and non-believers. Because it is your passion, it is your dream, it is what is innately in you that you'd like to do. Positive means I can see the statistics, but I'm not a statistic. Positive means I understand history, but I'm not limited by it. So let's take a moment, shake it out, and just turn to somebody and say, my dreams matter. My dreams matter. My dreams matter, yes. Repetition matters. Repetition, it matters, because this is what's going to give us the motivation to keep and reach our dreams. And my future, for yourself, whether you say it out loud or you just think it, my future matters. Okay, each one of you individually here have been placed here for such a time as this, and you matter. Regardless of anything else that's going on, right here, right now, you matter. I told you that I was the director for Miss Juneteenth Nevada Scholarship Program, or Anthony said that. Thank you, Anthony. And so I want to take a moment and talk about Juneteenth for just a second, because it is obviously directly related to Black history. We can go to the next video screen if it's possible. Black history is not just something I talk about. It's something I lead and I serve in with Miss Juneteenth Nevada, the scholarship programs for our young ladies, 15 to 19 years old. And it's a program that is set up for our young ladies, for us to impart to them leadership, development, scholarships, opportunities, public speaking events such as this, our culture, our education, our community service, and building self-confidence. It's about helping our young ladies understand the value and just how pinnacle you individually are to our communities and our futures. Of course, your families as well. Juneteenth represents June 19th, 1865. That was the day that the modern Juneteenth movement set. And it was a day that let our enslaved know that they were free. It gave them the ability to exercise their freedom. But with that came a huge responsibility. So the Miss Juneteenth Nevada Scholarship Program teaches our young ladies, you are free. And so now, what will you do with it? Will you lead? Will you serve? Will you build? Will you educate? What will your place be? What will be the stand that you will take? And leadership starts in your classroom. It starts right where you are. It's in your friendship groups, the people that you hang around with, the people that you associate with, the people you decide to build your tribe with, your family and friends, and in your community. So, we talked about dreams. We talked about the possibilities. And I don't want to leave our gentlemen out, because with Juneteenth, there was something called the Buffalo Soldiers. Now, are we familiar at all with the Buffalo Soldiers? No. The Buffalo Soldiers were your color troops. Those were the same color troops that went into Galveston, Texas, to say, listen, these people are still being enslaved. They're still being treated as if their freedom wasn't given to them. And these some 3,000 to 6,000 color troops that came off of the ship into Galveston, Texas, said, all right, you do something about this, or we will. And they drafted General Order Number 3, General Gordon Granger, actually Gordon Emory, General Emory did, and they posted it on the Church of Reedy Chapel in Galveston, Texas. It was a declaration of their freedom, but it was the ability for them to exercise their freedom. We're talking about the Buffalo Soldiers, right? They started as the U.S. color troops, and they segued into becoming the Buffalo Soldiers, who also were your park rangers and your first firemen. So they still exist today. They're not called we have groups that reenact the Buffalo Soldiers, but you do still have the men at the White House that are in those positions that started as Buffalo Soldiers, and they are now your security and your servicemen, okay, at the White House. So Buffalo Soldiers, they were very pinnacle to the protection of the people and, of course, our country here. They built the roads, they patrolled the national parks, they served in honor, despite racism. Because, of course, this wasn't, the color troops were not recognized initially, but they fought for the country nonetheless, without having equal rights. And we walked through that process. Okay, thank you. So, to wrap all of this up and to bring it to a close, and I thank you so much for the possibilities in dreaming with me today. This is about your life and your future. So take a moment at some point today and write down that one dream, that one possibility that you see for yourself and your future. Thank you so much.